Yeah, because Andrew failed on that. Tallahassee is one of the most crime-ridden cities in Florida, bar none. Them are the facts.
I would suggest the congressman might want to reconsider whether he wants to be governor. The governor's mansion's in Tallahassee. I would hate for you to be heard.
Yeah, but you won't be governor.
It is. Because if we were to believe your vision of the city, which is completely inaccurate, the city of Tallahassee,
record number of murders?
City of Tallahassee is on a pace to be at a 20-year low in our crime rate, and we did that by at the same time arresting fewer people. The city of Tallahassee works hand in glove with law enforcement, and that's why we are ranked an all-American city. And this week we're just ranked a #1 place to raise a family. And that's the kind of city we live in.
Mr. Gillum, thank you. Mr. DeSantis, thank you. We'll move on now. Our next question is from Anthony Mann from the Sun Sentinel.
Mr. DeSantis, Florida bans felons who have completed their sentences from voting. What's your position on the proposed constitutional amendment that would automatically restore voting rights to felons who've completed their sentences except for convicted murderers and sex offenders?
I think it's wrong to automatically restore rights to felons who've committed very serious crimes. Now, I want people to be redeemed. I want people to be able to show, but you've got to prove that you're getting back with the law. You got to prove. Many felons reoffend, and I think it's wrong to automatically give them a free pass to be able to vote without them showing that they can be back in our community. I also think it's very important, just as a former prosecutor, we've dealt with law enforcement. I'm committed to having safe communities. The fact of the matter is Andrew's making jokes about Tallahassee when they had the highest number of murders in their history last year. I don't think it's funny for those murder victims and their families. I don't think it's funny that you make light of crime, because I know how devastating that can be to victims' families. I've stood with families who've had their lives turned upside down by some very, very bad people. And I think we need to protect our communities. I don't want to go down the road where crime is spiraling out of control. And so I want people to be able to earn their way back, but you got to earn it. You don't get it for free.
And Anthony Mann, you'd like to address the question back to Mr. Gillum?
Mr. Gillum, what's your position on the proposed constitutional amendment?
Absolutely.
If it doesn't pass, would you continue the Scott-era policy, or would you go back to the policy under Governor Cruz?
Yeah, so Mr. DeSantis has never had the responsibility or the obligation of leading a community through a crime or helping to fix a crime problem. So he wouldn't recognize that the #1 way to reduce crime in a community is to reduce the level of recidivism. One of the things we can do to help with the recidivism rate is for these 1.7 million individuals who don't have their right to vote. The constitutional amendment doesn't give it back to everybody. But if you have done your time and you've paid your debt to society, you ought to be able to re-enter society, have your constitutional right to vote and your right to work here in the state. Because if they don't have the opportunity to make a living for themselves, you often find people reoffending.
Mr. Gillum, that's time. Thank you very much.